Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today we're going to be covering a bank video for our 1-year-old hardcore Ironman in Oldschool Runescape right before the big Varlamore update that's happening as of today. So I finally ended up organizing the bank, and I figured I'd kind of just show it because, yeah, we haven't covered a video on this game in like 7 years. So I haven't really played this game. I took a break since like 2017, 2018, I want to end up saying. But we ended up coming back last year around the 10-year anniversary of the game. And when I came back, I basically made my first ever main in this game as a hardcore Ironman. Basically, hardcore Ironman meaning we can never die, or we need to try to never die, I should say. And we also can't trade people and basically have to be self-sufficient with everything that we're doing on the account. So that's basically what that means. And we finally end up hitting 1 billion on this. We've been playing in the background over the last year or so, and I kind of been wanting to cover content, as our last video on this was, I'm pretty sure, like some kind of defense pure video in like 2018. Because the main things I've played over the years, I've been playing Oldschool Runescape on and off for, or I should say Runescape in general, for like 20-ish years now, since the very early days of RuneScape 2. And I mostly played skillers, defense pures, all accounts that like venge those accounts. But nothing really as like a proper main. And I've had a lot of fun playing as a hardcore Ironman in this game. Basically have to do everything yourself, actually having to do bossing. Actually, if we go check right over here, go check our things, we can actually see what we've killed so far. And these are pretty much the first times we've ever killed almost any of these, with the exception of maybe like Barrows and Mole, which obviously way back in the day we did kill, but pretty much everything else, first time we've ever killed it, like things like Necks and stuff like that. And yes, we did get a drop a little bit later once we actually get into everything. But overall, nothing really too much yet. Obviously, it's still in the need a max before starting to play the game kind of category, as we can kind of see if we see our full stats over here a little bit bigger. Nothing really too high yet. Obviously, we're still trying to max so we can start playing the game. Nothing at 200 mil or anything like that, nothing crazy, just trying to get the bare minimum and then probably focus on bossing for the most part. That and clue scrolls. I have probably done almost no clue scrolls in this game until I made an Ironman account, and now we have done several hundred. I say several hundred because the 700 beginner clues kind of don't count, though I still don't have the log finished. But anyways, let's go now into just get into the bank. Start showing things. I kind of want to have this just as a reference, so I can just point to this at any time in the future and be like, yep, this is how far we are right now. Just so we have a reference. I did kind of go over a little bit on stream. We have streamed this game a little bit over the last year. I think we've done 16 streams for it over the course of 12 months, so not that many. Most of them were in the first like month or two, which of course the beginning of the game is definitely like probably the easiest to show because this game definitely gets absurdly grindy the later you go. But luckily there's a lot of AFK methods. I'm pretty sure I've AFK'd almost 70% of all the EXP we have by this point. So I really like that about this game, and it works out pretty nicely. But anyways, finally ended up organizing the bank for Varlamore with things already prepped up. As you can see, there's already some placeholders here. This is where the new energy heal overtime food's gonna go. Here's where the new super mega best food that heals, I think they changed a couple times. I think he heals like 26 in poison, 26 over time. He's like 17, and then like whatever the other portion is, like 2/3 and 1/3 or something. They changed it a couple times, so I have no clue, but that's what those dude spots are for. Aside from that, of course, you have the basics that you would normally have at the beginning. Coins and basic teleport. I'm pretty sure most people put like house tab here or something, but obviously on a hardcore, one of the biggest things that they ended up adding actually this year, and definitely made the experience a lot more fun. They actually added this, I think a few months into our journey of doing hardcore in this game, Escape Crystal. Basically after a certain amount of time, it'll teleport you away. So for example, if we go check right over here, we have it set to the lowest possible time, which I wish could be set even lower, like 0.6 seconds or 1 second, or at least 1.2 seconds, because this game basically runs in ticks, 0.6 seconds each. And 2 seconds is a bit weird because the way it's calculated, I think it can go as far as 4 ticks, as in 2.4 seconds. Very rarely does it actually trigger after 1.8. It normally carries over to 2.4, which means this is actually not 2 seconds. It's normally a 2.4 second teleport, which is not ideal in bosses that can kill you in 0.6 seconds. So who knows, maybe we'll adjust that at some point. Still a relatively new thing, so it has a lot of room for them to be flexible with it into the future. But anyways, going now into our next things, we have basically all of our standard food that we end up using. Prayer Restores, Super Restores, Sarah Brews, which are basically, I believe still the highest. Well, not believe, it definitely is. The highest that you can heal for one single inventory, not counting Purple Sweets, which counts infinitely, but they heal for so little that Sarah Brews are generally the way to go. But they lower a lot of your stats, as you can see here, so you generally have to use a Super Restore so that they get back. With Varlamore, we're actually going to be getting a new way to do this with Butterflies, so you can actually save a lot on Super Restore. So if you're in a situation where you might need to heal, and restore your stats, but don't necessarily need prayer, or you don't need as much prayer. You could just go like prayer potions. There's like a few prayer potions. Go a lot more on Sarah brews and use the new butterflies that are coming. Which now that I think about it, I didn't actually make any rooms for those. I'm not sure how meta they're really going to be. But if nothing else, there's plenty of room to move everything around. Then we have like our nice little square here. This is basically where we do all of our spam clicks if we ever just want to go and get our combo foods. Personally, I like to combo eat like this. There's a lot of ways to basically combo eat in the game. For example, if we go for something like this, you can end up doing it with a potion, and you can end up doing it just with standard food. So normally what will happen if you end up eating a food is you won't be able to immediately eat again. So if I try eating this and then eat that, I can't eat that shark. There's a delay on it. But there are ways to combo eat in the game. Like you could end up doing shark into Cron Bomb. You can also do that into a potion into another heal. And yeah, there's quite a few ways. It's a pretty interesting mechanic for something that runs on basically a turn-based system, which is probably something else I really enjoyed about RuneScape 2. I play a lot of turn-based strategy games, as well as a lot of hoarding games, so good to finally organize this all. If any of you guys see us in other games, gosh, do we hoard way too much. I find it cleared out the bank some. But anyways, what point am I trying to go here? I lose train of thought so quickly all over the place. But basically... anyways, where were we? Let's go now into the next little section. Let's see. So we obviously purple sweets. This is basically our energy row right over here. Every single thing here could restore energy in some way. We have ourselves super or purple sweets. These stack infinitely. You generally don't use these too often unless like super end game content where you just need to constantly keep going for a little bit of heals. Any kind of content where you just kind of need to save on supplies and stuff like that. It heals a little bit of run energy. I think it's like 5%, like 1 to 3. It's either 5 to 10% and 1 to 3 little bit of heal. It's really small, but you can use it to tick eat. You can use it just for that little bit of run energy, so you don't need staminas. So instead of having to carry like 2 staminas on you to get your energy back up, well, you just go an entire stack of sweets, and while they go down pretty quickly, they can be offset it. Then you have like things like Summer Pie. They actually have a pretty notoriously low weight. So for example, right here we have ourselves basically negative weight or almost no weight on our food right here. And that's something you always have to manage, like your overall total weight on your character. There are ways to lower it with like gear and stuff like that. But then there's a lot of foods that have quite a bit higher weight. Like for example, this shark right here has a 0.65. And if you have a lot of those, then your overall weight's going to be a lot higher. But there's things like Summer Pies, which not only end up increasing your agility, which increases your run energy restoration just a little bit, but also ends up having your run energy restore, so does it by 10% per bite. And it's also good because it ends up leaving a little bit of a hole in your inventory too, because if you eat it once, there's still a hole. If you eat it twice, there's still a hole. So you can end up doing like that, even if you have Potion Crusher on. So for example, if we end up drinking something like this Prayer Pot, we currently auto-crush our vials. So you can turn that on or off, but it's nice when you have it on in some situations where you might need to actually have a hole if you want to keep your inventory in a certain way or something similar, but you still want your vials to auto get crushed. It's a nice combination and definitely something worth considering a lot. Then we have Stamina Mix. These are mostly just for when running ores or stuff. You can just simply pick one up, click it, boom, run energy restore, ends up restoring your run over time. You're good to go. And just makes it so your run energy goes down at a much slower rate, while also just restoring it some. Then you have the bigger version of it, which you use for content where you're going to need a ton of it, or multiple of them, whereas this is more so if you just need a dose or two. Then we have our new Hunter Foods. When they end up coming in, going to be pretty nice. And basically everything here, as we mentioned, just combo it into whatever we need, just grab whatever we feel like. Can do any kind of combinations with anything we need here. And it's just all just good to go. So it's a nice little area where we could just kind of get all of our things simultaneously, and just makes it a little bit quicker compared to using tabs for every single thing, which I still need to go fix a lot of these tabs. I might have fixed the bank, but I have not fixed the tab section at all. We are still cluttered as per usual. Then we have our line of basically combat potions. You got your standard ones, which go into super combat, which super combat does all 3 of those combined. You have pretty standard ones like ranging potion, which just increasing your range. Don't really have a good magic version of it. We do have it like all the way down here. However, until you get the imbued heart or any heart in this game, to end up increasing your magic by, I believe it's 10 or 13. Not really worth using the smaller ones. There's a few instances where you can kind of bring it out, like against Kraken and other bosses that have a lot of downtime. But for the most part, I think a lot of people just drop them when they do barbarian fishing, when they do like Burblore and end up getting a Herblore XP while doing it and everything. I think they just literally just drop them. I personally keep them all. I like hoarding things. Anyways, next we have ourselves the Not Die Phoenix necklace. This, I believe it's 20% or lower. I should really know that number. But I believe it's, I haven't really needed to use them too much yet. Though they're pretty good at Vorkath, Theater of Blood, which we haven't gotten around to. Actually, both of those we haven't gotten around to yet, and stuff like that. But mostly if you end up getting procced down to 20% or lower, but not 0, you'll end up restoring a bunch of your HP. I believe it's like 30-ish%. It's actually more than any one food can end up doing, oddly enough. So it's more healing per slot than any other food, even the new 26 heal food, or whatever it is that's coming in with Varlamore tomorrow, or today, I should say. By the time this video is up, it's going to be today. But anyways. But yeah, this actually heals even more than that, so it can be pretty useful from time to time, and it also triggers automatically, so you don't have to have any tick delay of you know, all your eating and everything. Aside from that, I also have strawberries. These are pretty good if you're red Xing or anything similar. You can simply just empty it and it will fill out the rest of your inventory. And this is really good when you already have a pretty full inventory. You can end up filling out whatever slots you still have. Like if we had, I don't know, let's say like 13, 13, and then we wanted to make sure we could red X somewhere, so we just drop this. We empty it, boom, now we can red X off of that really quickly. So you can do stuff like that if you really wanted to, and I believe I have it set to, yeah, fill. So if I shift click, I actually have it to fill if I need to pick something up real quick. So you can end up emptying it, filling it, boom, click, boom, empty, wrong button, there we go. I use it on a couple bosses, most notably so far probably Calfight Queen, but it can be used on quite a few, Cerberus, few others, though Cerberus has a way easier way of doing it, but it can be used on quite a few bosses, pretty much anyone that could be applicable to Red X, particularly ones that don't have a whole army next to them, like the God Wars dungeon, as you can't really quite do it there. You can still do it there, but there's a billion other things attacking you, unlike if you're just taking out like a single boss, of which there are several in the game that can be cheesed that way, particularly some of the older ones. Anyways, next we have our other not die-related things. We have our anti-venom pluses, which I actually do have Serp Helm if we get a little bit deeper in here. We do end up having a Serp Helm, which ends up protecting against all venoms, poison, stuff like that. Really good for wilderness. It's one of several items I want to have before we do anything wilderness-related on this hardcore account, just to make sure we don't end up dying. We have an antidote plus here. This is mostly just our one-click one. It's a little bit harder to make these. They're actually a little bit annoying to end up making. But I really don't like using the other poison ones, so I just end up using this. I don't use it too often. I think I mostly just use that next. Actually, generally just use a 2-dose, and generally that's enough to last for quite a while AFKing there. That's a really good AFK boss, so you basically don't even need to do anything on. And other than the minimum damage to get a reward drop. And generally over the course of like an hour or two, you'll be lucky if you even get poisoned once when you're in a mass world. So the 2-dose can last for pretty much forever. You could easily go a very long time without even triggering. So I like using it for that mostly. Not really much else, unless I'm doing like some other thing that poisons you. Sometimes clue steps and stuff like that, if I'm too lazy to put on the Serp Helm. But for the most part, they're mostly just for next. Next, we have our self-extended anti-fire. Similarly, these are just nice. Just click it once. You have yourself your little bit of fire resistance. You can end up doing it before you go on a dragon task, so you don't need to bring an inventory for and similar things like that. Or you can even just bring a couple of them on a related task that you just know you'll have a lot of inventory space on. And of course, you can also do the 2-dose ones. You generally don't need that much for any given dragon task. So it's nice just to have the 1-dose ones just to preemptively pot. Same reason why we have it here for these next ones. So these are divine potions. This is a somewhat newer thing to old school RuneScape. They're kind of, I believe they work almost like how old overloads do, except you don't get your health back that you end up losing from it. Basically, they lower your hit points by 10, but they give you the full buff of whatever their potion effect is for 5 minutes. This is decently useful. Has a lot of cases in bossing where you really want to make sure you maintain your full bonus for as long as you possibly can, so to be able to get your full amount of stats. Otherwise, it keeps draining by 1 minute every single time, unless you're using a prayer to extend it, which I don't think I have yet to preserve. You can end up doing that to make your boost last 50% longer, but otherwise, without that on, they will tick down once every minute, and you'll start losing stats. You'll go from that 118 that we have to 117, 116, but these basically keep it up the entire time. So having the 1-dose ones are great just for pre-potting at a bank, and then the bigger ones you end up using probably mostly for raids. I haven't actually used them too much yet, as a lot of early mid-game content, you don't really need them. As you get later in the game, they definitely get more usage. Speaking of things that get more usage later in the game, though, I guess this is more so mid-game content. God Wars Dungeon. Nice to have boons to peaches. They're actually polling right now. Do we actually have a poll booth here? I think we do somewhere in this town. Where's the poll booth in this town? It should be a town. Do you not have a poll booth? Where is your poll booth? But they're doing a poll right now. How does this place not have a poll booth? Am I just blind? How do you not have a poll booth on this island? But anyways. Watch, does the other island have a poll booth? Wait, it does! Wait, why does this... Oh, no, it's right here. Okay, hold up. I was gonna say, how does this island not have it? And how does the other democracy island do? It does. Or how does the other island have democracy, but this one doesn't? But they're actually changing 2 spells potentially soon. You can see right here. We have Telekinetic Grab, and where's the other one? Bones to Peaches, where are you? 60 is somewhere's over here. Bones to Peaches. So both of these are potentially going to be losing their delay, which gives them some interesting implications. And I'm kind of interested to see how that ends up working with the tablet as well, if it'll also get the delay reduction, as that'll be pretty useful. Both of them right now have a very small delay that basically keep you in place. And by small, I mean telegrab. It might be small for Bones to Peaches, but the one for telegrab, I want to say it's like 5 seconds long. Maybe not that long. It feels like it lasts forever. I actually kind of want to have that before I do some things in the wilderness too, like getting lava dragon bones. Though I technically only need 1 or 2 or a few just to make sure in case I ever bury them. But I would not want to do that in the wilderness. You're kind of just stuck there for seconds on end whenever you cast it. It's pretty much unusable in the current state, but having their delay removed is going to really be interesting for a couple mechanics in the game. So these are mostly just there for a little bit of healing, as is pretty much everything here. Then we have ourselves just our extra tab for all of our reduced down potions. These generally aren't grabbed, but are mostly just here for convenience. The only thing that might be grabbed here is occasionally like the strange fruit, which I'm surprised they haven't made like a pie or anything for. Then we have some of our other ones just kind of down here, just basically just all the overfill for all of our actual main loot. All the main loot, of course, is kept in this upper rectangle that we have right over here. Next, we have ourselves just a bunch of junk food, basically. Food that isn't really used, but can be used, that, you take out occasionally. More so these 4 mixes occasionally get a lot more usage than all this other stuff for the most part. Just the same potions as before, but in 2 dose instead of 1, or in this case, both the 2 versions, as they're very rarely used. Then we have some food that actually is good, that's just harder to get a lot of, like tuna potato, dark crabs, or at least on the hardcore Ironman, a little harder to get dark crabs. But they do just the same thing that other better, easier to get stuff already does. In the case of mana or anglerfish, it actually overheals you too, which is pretty nice. Then we have ourselves, just all the junk food, just stuff you don't really ever eat. Like anything 16 heal or below is pretty pointless in the current state of the game. There's just so much accessibility to higher stuff that pretty much everything here, not really used, but I don't feel like getting rid of it, so it kind of just sits here. As does all of our clue scrolls that we just have spear here after time. And while we can't actually see the price check here under the tab, because this is technically set up as a tab, but for anyone wondering, I did check it, and it's about 210 mil. Actually, technically it's about 230 mil, but minus the cash stack, it's about 210 mil here in this first section. So that's quite a bit for just pure consumable stuff that is eventually just going to all be eaten at some point. Anyways, next we have ourselves the, I guess, raw resource tab, I would kind of call this. I'm not really sure what. It's a weird mix of skilling related supplies, but basically we initially have all the gems in the game, all the uncut and then our processed ones, that eventually then become silver and gold barred into various jewelry, either for high alching into other supplies or just whatever we end up doing it with. A lot of it just sits here. They kind of need to add a blast furnace or something similar for jewelry, as it takes absolutely forever to make anything jewelry related in this game. So hopefully it'll add some kind of fix for that in the future, where there'll be a mass usage for all these gems, as it takes quite a while to use them and generally isn't worth it. Once you reach a certain point, particularly 99, and this is really going for 200 mil and just need to get every bit of XP you can get. But even then, I'm pretty sure people just do like seaweed and other stuff these days, or stabs. Just not really needed to process like these super low gems unless you need them for a very specific resource. Otherwise, they kind of sit there doing nothing. Anyways, next we have just our basic fletching supplies. This I like to take whenever we end up needing to do some. Planning on making a lot of arrows. Not sure for what. I guess eventually for Twisted Bow, and I think Vinegar Bow ends up using it too. But it's more so long-term, just kind of getting them supplied. I don't ever want to have to deal with lacking arrows or really lacking any resource. I always like to be stocked up on pretty much everything. I didn't really mention it here, but I like keeping everything topped up to at least 1,000, which you can kind of tell with some of these stacks here and there. But I don't know, I just like kind of keeping everything at a decently high amount. And, well, actually, 1,000's not decently high, but for this part in the game, for mid-game, it's, I guess, decently high. Eventually, that goalpost will keep moving, then it'll be like, hey, I gotta keep above 5,000, I gotta keep above 10,000. Goalposts will just keep moving over and over again. But I think 1,000 is still a nice threshold, where if anything goes below 1,000, it's like, okay, I should maybe start farming that. Like, oh, we need Torstools. I should probably go farm that at some point. Which is whenever we go do our farm runs and everything, we start changing our focus if we have the seeds around. But anyways, next we have ourselves the other weird gems that are used for silver jewelry. Then we just have all the smithing related supplies and just random balls of wools for the other jewelry stuff. Not really too special here. Then we get on down to our logs, and I basically matched them with their main corresponding thing, where we have plank to plank, or log to plank, oak to oak plank, teak to teak plank, mahogany to mahogany plank, and then what all the other things are used for. Willows for nothing, so I just have bowstring there. Maples for just making them into maple longbow yew, because they're not really worth stringing unless you have like a ton of bowstring. Then yew logs into longbows that then get strung and then high-alked. Magic logs into longbow that then gets high-alked. And that's pretty much the process there. Then we have our seaweed section, of which the only important part is pretty much right over here, where we have the giant seaweed into bucket of sand. And wow, that's just from daily bucket of sand. I have not actually gotten any bucket of sand since I think I got like 93 or 94 crafting. And yeah, this is just a long while of that. I guess I technically got it from some drops. I think Calfite Queen and a couple things drop it as well, but that's almost entirely just from daily sand that just gets sent automatically to your bank after, what is it, Ardoin Elite Diary, which I had done pretty early in the count. So it's just been stacking up more and more. But basically, this whole process is seaweed becomes soda ash, and sand, if you want to do it that way, ends up becoming molten glass. So the better way to do it is, of course, giant seaweed into bucket of sand, using the lunar spell of glass make, and then that gives you all the molten glass you need. And then you just blow it all into empty light orbs, or into... actually, did I show it in this section? I guess it's lower down. You can also do it into empty orbs and end up getting them empowered and stuff like that. But anyways, this is mostly just for crafting XP. You end up having a lot of empty light orbs. They're actually adding a mechanic soon, which is why I added this. They're going to be adding a mechanic that will actually make doing these empty light orbs, like the actual minigame associated to it, worth doing. It'll give like crafting XP, and I believe it gives like an extra bonus boost. They're going to be changing that. They have a lot of reworks coming in this year. Aside from the big Varlamore update, they are planning a ton of reworks, and they're actually going to make those viable to use, it seems like. Because a lot of people have over 100k stack. I wouldn't even be surprised if, like, in the literal, like, millions upon millions, wouldn't be surprised if someone has a green stack at least or something, which is 10 million plus, as we saw with our cash stack on the other screen. But yeah, a lot of people have way too many than they would ever know what to do with, so them actually making them useful for something is going to be kind of cool. They can actually be used. Next, we have something I'm pretty sure almost no one has stored in their bank. It's all the supplies to make tuna potatoes. Why do I do this? I have no clue. I like processing things. And whenever I see something not processed, it's like, I need to process that to its final set. And is that efficient at all? No. Do I still do it? Yeah, sometimes. Then we have our next section for... actually, that's still the section for there with the corn on the cob and everything else. Then we have our section for making pies. Currently set up to make summer pie, though it will eventually be made into whatever the best pie is in the game. Currently summer pie, probably with sailing or something else in a year or so. It'll be some kind of other mechanic. But at the moment it's summer pie, so we just kind of went all in on that. And that's just all of our summer pie making stuff. You get a lot of them from, what, elites and masters? But however, you can also make them. It's a bit of a process, but I don't mind it. Next, we have ourselves wines. I actually was originally going to get rid of these, but they're actually used for Varlamore, oddly enough. And I have, like, no spare wines. I think we have, like, none. Though we could easily make a ton more if I just go process all these, which I probably should have done before Varlamore. However, I'm pretty sure we're not going to need that many, maybe a couple hundred. Plus, there's a shop you could buy them from pretty quickly in Draenor, so I don't know, it shouldn't be that big a deal. It's not like it takes that long to go make them. I also have the Zamorak wines, which I have not really been farming much, but they did buff that like crazy earlier this year. And I was able to utilize that pretty early, so I haven't really had any issue with Zamorak wines on this account. I think we actually have a surplus of them right now, at least currently. Once we do some endgame bossing, I'm pretty sure that will switch around a little bit. But at least currently, I have more than what I need, and I haven't even been farming them that much, so it ends up working out pretty nicely. Then we have everything for Guthix Rest, where you do the bowl of water, add them to, or add the hot bowl of water. Words! You go get bowl of water. You then make bowl of water hot. You then put bowl of water that is hot into cup. And then cup becomes herb stuff. They're actually making this a lot quicker too. I'll actually show it in my herb tab. We'll be getting to this soon. Spoilers. But if we actually do this to X, they're actually going to be making this, on the quality of life stuff, they're actually going to be making this a lot quicker. So right now you can actually end up messing them up if you end up going and clicking like the wrong one to the wrong herb thingy. But basically, it's really annoying right now. They're planning on making this basically a one-click action. Right now, I have to click 4 times every single time we want to go do that per every single one. It's just so annoying to do. But yeah, they're going to be streamlining that so you can do them all at once. So that's going to be a lot nicer than the current method for making those, because they're a really, really good potion. Well, technically they're in the potion category. Obviously, it's a cup of tea, but it basically acts like a potion. And yeah, it's just a really nice one, but you can't really use it as often as you may like because it's just hard to make. Or at least really like click intensive anyways. Maybe not necessarily hard, but it's a lot of steps and really click intensive. Anyways, then we have a bunch of raw stuff, just random raw things that need to go get cooked that I just haven't cooked. Then we have just random stuff. This is random construction supplies, I guess. Well, this is technically for making house tablets too, but yeah, just random construction stuff that I don't feel like getting rid of, but we'll probably need at some point. Then we have just a bunch of the tips here. I do occasionally do the medium clues from the thing that drops a bunch of these tips, so I have them all here because why not? There's also a few really weird things that just drop a bunch of these tips, like the Vire Watch that dropped the Blood Shard. For whatever reason, I think they drop like every single one of these. So, if you just get them, pick them up, just put them right into the bank. Don't need to worry about them. You can process these into bolts. I have some of my bolts here just in case we ever want to do it for that. Still can't use Dragon Bolts as we haven't gotten anything to end up using them, but I'm really looking forward to it. So we can go get them tipped in all different things. I actually really like that mechanic. I wish I would actually update some of these older ones that don't really see much usage. Just to kind of give them some more flair. Like some of them they kind of added things for, like Phantom Musfa, the Sapphire ones could be used for and stuff like that. But I don't know, I like to see a lot of these get more of a use case. Some of the more niche ones, rebalance them a little bit, and I don't know, it'd be a lot of fun. It'd be an easy way to just kind of rework range without like complete overhauling it in any kind of extreme way. Just give crossbows a little bit more of a usage, since we got to see that during leagues, and I actually did play leagues. We did get the Dragon Cup and everything. I have a couple of rewards in here though, nothing really too relevant, but we did get Dragon rank and everything, max, all the normal stuff. But during that, we actually did end up going down that route, and I don't know, it was a lot of fun to mess around with range crossbow. It really showed like how good crossbow can be if it just wasn't so slow at attacking. The best crossbow in the game is still good, but honestly, and still rune crossbows are used a lot in mid game. But I feel like it really falls off at like the point of the game that we're about to get to right now, where everyone's pretty much running like bow Ferrodinin and other similar things, and it just feels like crossbow in that section of gameplay, at least at the moment, just really, really falls off. We need like a granite crossbow or something in between. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do to fix it, but I don't know. It just feels like it has a good portion of the game where it just doesn't feel like it does as much as compared to some other like mid to late game weapons. Anyways, other than that, it's particularly in the range category. Speaking of things that are useless around this time, ballistas and just the entirety of these ammos, they actually are re-adding it. Back in the day, javelins used to be throwable in RuneScape, and they actually removed that mechanic when they added Monkey Madness 2 in Oldschool Runescape back in, 2016? That was before I even started playing earlier, when I did try Oldschool Runescape several years ago. But they ended up removing the functionality to throw these, and they're actually going to be adding it back with Varlamore. I believe they're adding some Hunter Spears and stuff like that. So, yeah, they already had it coded from ages back, so they're basically just re-adding it back into the game. They used to be, all the javelins used to be like that. Rune, Adamant, Dragon, anything. All those used to be just throwable things that you could wield, but now they're going your ammo slot and are fired by ballista, so I'm kind of curious to see how strong those are going to be now that they're basically adding it back through the Hunter skill. There you have some for just dart tips, which go into our blowpipe that we don't have. Then some smithing supplies. I was making them into chest plates, and then kind of realized that probably wasn't worth it. You do get more overall XP per hour if you make them into chest plates, your bars, but and then use them at Giant's Foundry. But honestly, just using the bars outright seems to be just slightly better overall. You get more value per bar. This is what you would only really do if you really wanted to maximize on XP. But I think it's just better just doing all at Giant's Foundry after just messing around with it a little bit. There's random thread and needle for processing any kind of related stuff to that. We have ourselves like bark with fine leather in order to make split bark. We have all the dragon hide, stuff like that, all the basic things that you would basically use on. Then we have ourselves just random crafting supplies, basically all the stuff that go into staves. Actually, this is like a ton of money right now. If we go check this right now, I think this is like, oh yeah, this has been a high out for almost 70 mil. Maybe like 75? Hard to tell exactly. No, not 75. Yeah, it'd be closer to 70 mil. We have like 70 mil cash stack just sitting right there. I'm just too lazy to go make all of these. That's one thing I really wish they would tweak as well. They really need a way to mass make staves, like the orbs, to end up doing these. Oh yeah, these were the empowered orbs I was talking about earlier. But we need like a way to teleport there closer or something. Because these things are slow to end up making. I'm pretty sure most mains that can actually use the Grand Exchange and trade other players, I'm pretty sure they mostly just buy them from bots on the Grand Exchange. Because I'm pretty sure 99% of these that come into the game that aren't from PVM are all botted, pretty much. It is so slow to do it manually. You can still, like, I normally do fire orbs. For one, it's not in the wilderness. These are all from Nex, any that we ever get for air orbs. But, for one, it's not in the wilderness, but the other reason why I end up doing these is you can high alch during it. You can actually do an action in between every single time you charge an orb. So you can actually, at the standard auto speed for charging orbs, high alch at full speed as well. You can end up getting slightly higher speed if you just spam the orb, but if you just do orb then high alch, orb high alch, and keep alternating, you will get the maximum rate for creating orbs, or by maximum I mean if you just had it auto. As well as high alching at the 5 tick ratio, or the 5 tick duration, and you will still do both without having any downtime with either. It's a lot more click intensive, but it's like one way that kind of makes it a little bit better, but it still doesn't fix the fact that they are a mile away from any teleport, which is something they can easily fix by, adding a better teleport to get there. Again, then I guess people will just bot it even harder, but you can't always worry about the bots. Because this is probably the longest daily in the game. It's one of the reasons I generally don't do it. You get 120 of these per day if you keep buying it every single day, which I believe I already did today. Otherwise, we'd have an icon in the top left. But yeah, you get 120 of these per day. Well, you have to buy them, but if you do, you get 120 of these per day. And it takes like a half an hour if you're going to like full process them. If you're going to go charge the orbs, high alch all of these, make them, do them in between so you can kind of do like a little bit of each while you're doing it. And it takes like half an hour, 40 minutes, and it's just such a long daily. They could cut that down so much, and I really wish they would. I'm pretty sure most people skip on that daily these days, but I don't know. If they're going to have it, at least like quality of life it a bit better if you're going to keep it in the game like that. But anyways, then we have drift nets. Originally, this was going to be how we got to 99 farming. I made these pretty early in the count when I was still farming a ton. I haven't been doing as many farm runs lately. I think I've done like maybe 30 farm runs this whole year so far. Not the whole year isn't the year duration, but I mean since 2024. I'm pretty sure I've barely touched it. You could do it like every 90 minutes, but I barely been doing it lately. But earlier on in the count, I made like 5,000 drift nets. I used some of them. There's about 2,500 of them stored at the place where you use drift nets currently. But once they ended up announcing sailing in Varlamore, I kind of stopped for two reasons. One is Varlamore with the Hunter Guild. You could just simply get 99 Hunter that way. Trying to get the bird pet, we're easily going to get over 99 unless we get absurdly lucky. So with that, there just isn't really much of a need to worry about it, doing this more intense method. But the other reason is drift nets might be used for sailing in some way. So I figured, I might as well just save them all for that. They might be better used for that. Because current drift net, even though it's good fishing XP and good hunter XP, it doesn't actually give you any pets. You don't get a fishing pet for you, don't get a hunter pet from it. The drops from it, as far as loot overall, is not the greatest. You do get medium clues here and there, but it's only like 1 or 2 an hour, so it's nothing like particularly high compared to other methods. But I don't know, I'm kind of just hoarding them for sailing, I guess. It's one of the many things that will probably be hoarded for that. Next, we have ourselves everything that's needed to go do, oh gosh, what's that one minigame called? The Shades of Morton minigame. So basically the pyro logs into the best remains that you can end up doing. You get a bunch of gold keys, and honestly, they have pretty good alchemy loots. I did this pretty early on in the count, and gosh, does it make it like a pretty, for when you get access to it, like you don't need much to do it. You basically just need a salve amulet, 43 prayer, and the quest completed, and you're pretty much good to go. I guess you technically need 95 fire making and 90 wood cutting to get your redwood logs. Technically, you can do it off of 75, but it's easier with 90. But aside from that, combat skill-wise, you could do this really early on, and it gives some pretty solid alchemals, as well as some other stuff like the Prayer Alpha and just a few other knick-knack things. Well, there's a lot of elite clues, which later on in the game you could use a lot better. Anyways, but yeah, that's everything for that. Then we just have random blood essence. They've added a lot of ways to create more blood runes. Spoiler, it's actually our most common rune, oddly enough. Actually, at one point, I think I had more blood runes than every other rune combined, but then I started using them some, as well as doing a bunch of barrows to get mines runes, which kind of offset it a little bit. But they are so common in the current state of game. That's because a lot of endgame equipment ends up using it, most notably from Theater of Blood, so they added 1.5 billion ways to get more blood runes, and over time, that has just made it a lot easier to get it, especially when you're just going to 99. I'm pretty sure way later in the game, like if we play this game for like another 2 years, it'll be like, I have no blood runes now. But honestly, when you're going from 1 to 99 rune crafting, you just get way more blood runes than you really need, until you really just start using them a ton for bossing and other related content. I have random barley here for reasons I kind of know, but also do not know. I know it's for brewing, but I've already done everything I need for brewing, so I think it just exists for no reason. I guess just if I ever need some. Who knows, maybe they add some new brews or make that rebalance the content to actually be useful. Because aside from that one clue step that uses it, there is almost nothing to use them on. That and to make the Chef Delight thing in your house. Next, we have ourselves basically all of our tree run stuff. I don't really do tree runs. I don't think I've done a single proper tree run in 6 months in this game. However, I like having them here because what if I do decide I want to do it? Basically, if it's not a farming contract at the farming guild, I do not plant a tree. That is basically my entirety of tree planting. Does the farming guild tell me to go plant it? Then I probably should. You might see that some of these aren't matched up correctly. Like obviously you goes to cactus, or not obviously, but you know, any of you played a game, you probably know these, especially if you play an Ironman account or you just do a lot of farming. But obviously Calquat does not go to magic sapling. However, the reason for this is I just plant them in the free one that you get at what's it called? At Falador. You can plant disease free at Falador, so technically you should always be planting them there. Which I should probably be doing way more than I do, which is basically never. I guess one of the other reasons I kind of don't do tree runs is I was hoping they would rework it to make it easier to get roots. I thought they would do that with forestry, but they never did. There's a lot of things that were weird or never done with forestry, but one of those I was really surprised with is even though they tweaked how all trees work in the game, they left out a few, and one of the few that were left out is all the ones that you do while farming. They still chop down the same way that they used to back in the day. And you can get RNG'd like crazy when doing a U or magic tree. I literally, actually, we did a stream for this game last year when we were actually doing the Falador Diary. And I believe you had to do a magic tree and get like 3 or 4 roots or whatever it is from it, whatever it is for the diary thing. And I think it legitimately took us 20 minutes to chop it down with a rune axe. Of course, we were using a rune axe, not a dragon, but it took forever. I think we got like 2 inventories of logs or something. It was insane. It just would not go down. And they really need to tweak it. Like, you need to like sacrifice a rune axe to auto chop down the tree or something so that you can go get the roots. That way there's still a cost associated to it. I think a rune axe high ox for like, what, 8k or something? Somewhere's around there. I think it's like slightly under 10k. But you still need a rune bar for if you're on an Ironman to make a bunch of them. So, you know, that's like, what, 12k if you do it on a higher one? So that's like 12k to chop down a tree automatically so you can get the roots. I think that's a fair trade. Sacrifice a rune axe to auto chop down a tree. Because right now, it just takes so long. I would even do that for a yew tree. I would sacrifice a rune axe to auto chop it down so you could just immediately go get the roots from it. They do something to it. It just takes way too long to get roots. And a lot of people just don't use those poison potions or, you know, those anti-poison because of that. For the magic one, you just get them all from Zora. And for that smaller one that we showed in our other tab, I don't know, I feel like no one really uses it. I personally like using it here and there if we do chop down trees, but because they have a 9 duration instead of using like one of the smaller ones, like the 6-minute ones. But I don't know, they just really need to make them quicker. And then a bunch of junk over here for this just gets turned into bowstring when we do the 250 daily. This just sits here doing nothing, but I have no clue what to do with them. I guess technically with, I believe willow logs you can end up using these, but it's just not worth the time to bother unless you're really desperate for a little bit of crafting XP. And this mushroom stack, like the barley, I have no clue why it exists, but I still pluck them because I think it has a pretty good pet chance for that. Next, we have ourselves a herb tab, which we kind of took a little bit of a peek of earlier, but first we have all of our seeds in order of their rarity, starting from Guam, going all the way to Torstal. Then we have a little section here just for 2 other ones that we tend to do. Limpert, which I tend to do in the disease-free Hesidius place, and then a bunch of Snapdragon seeds for if we ever decide to do that. I think we have a bounty necklace right over here. I generally don't do these too often. Actually, I've been doing strawberries a lot more than Snapdragons lately, as you probably saw when we had like this whole strawberries back here, plus for summer pies. Mostly because I have enough snapgrass to last for a while relative to how many rainars I have, so it hasn't really been as big of a need to go do them, but obviously if this stack starts to get close to this stack, obviously you start using them. Then we have a bunch of just grimies of all of them. I always like keeping these clean. I actually have quite a bit of dirty ones for once, but yeah, I always like cleaning these manually. I think there's a spell that does this now, but for nostalgia's sake, I still do them all manually. I'm not sure why. I'm not even sure if it's better that way or if that spell is better, but I don't know, I still do them by hand. It's pretty click intensive, but it's pretty easy to do, especially on mobile if you're just like mash clicking at it. But anyways, then we have ourselves the, I guess just making coconut milk section. What you can actually do with these, there's quite a few weird ways that you can set up stuff in your inventory. That is not what I wanted. There's a lot of weird ways that you can set up stuff in your inventory. And one thing that you can actually end up doing with these, and quite a few things that process similar to these, is you can actually make like an alternating pattern and then just go and do them quicker this way, because there's not like a make all option. Unfortunately, you can't just click once. Like if I click this once, I think this does do it, but it does it like at such a slow rate. Look at that rate. And if you do it manually, it's like boom, 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 boom. So yes, like you can do it automatically. I think they actually added that. I don't think that used to be a thing, but it's just so much quicker doing it that way. But anyways, then we have the processing for the Guthix Express, as we showed here, which does place it a little bit off order because Terramin is actually a tier below. So technically that should be over there, but I don't know, I just have it over here just so I could process those quicker if I ever do it just directly here. Then the rest of them are in order, just the vials to put stuff in. Generally you do them automatically in the desert, however, you know, there's an option to do it here if you ever wanted to. And then, similar, keeping up with the tools over here, we have our mortar and pestle. Even though you should never actually do this, it is never worth actually doing this manually. you can easily just auto crush them all in the desert as well. Similar to how you basically never actually make potions. Like you pretty much never do the process of this, unless you were like really down for cash or something. But it's always just better to get them auto crushed and auto done at the herblore place in the desert, which is right over here. I'm pretty sure most of you guys, if any of you played this game for a while, I'm pretty sure most of you know, but it's all the way over here in Narda. You can use Desert Amulet 4 to get here immediately. And the guy right over here, the herbalist, ends up doing it for you. I believe you need Heart Diary to make them into potions, but to clean them and to crush your stuff, I don't believe you need anything for it. You just need to get there. Anyways, aside from that, we then have all the rest of the potions that aren't those three being processed into a bunch of stuff. Terramins into ashes, Raynors into prayer pots, and just so on and so forth. Just all the processing for them, as well as next to any applicable things. Like, for example, the energy potion I actually keep over here to immediately just process them into amethyst crystals that you get from doing agility. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. Some other things are near some weird resources too. Like, why on earth is a raw sardine next to a red spider egg? You can bring these to the Tower of Life and end up making them into more red spider eggs. I believe you profit about 40, 50 per trip if you go with 13, 13, 14, 14, or anything similar. So you just go head over there, kill it with whatever your best damage is, and you just get a ton of spider eggs in return. So it's a nice way to get them. There's a couple bosses that you can do for them too, but it's the more chill way of doing it, especially on like mobile or something similar. Amulet of Chemistry, just mostly just makes it so you get more potions from your stuff. Normally when you do a potion, you only get 3, but this makes it so you do 4. Then just other processing stuff. Landnimes, for whatever reason, has a lot of good ones you can actually go to. And by a lot of good, I mean good for EXP, not necessarily good potions. They're actually the ones that normally get turned into mixes because they're particularly not that good at potions. And then you can also process them even further by extending their anti-fire protection. Here's what I talked about earlier. We actually do have more Wines of Zamorak than we do Dwarfweed. That will eventually change, I am sure of it. However, currently, we do actually have a surplus of Wines of Zami, which I'm pretty sure that's not the case for most people. Dwarfweed's actually one of those notorious ones that I'm pretty sure there just isn't enough material to use it on. I think there's only 2 things that use it. Wine of Zami and the most recent raid they added, the 3rd raid of Chambers. No, not Chambers. What's it called? Wow, why on earth do I forget its name? Raids 3. Tombs of a Masket. There we go. But Tombs of a Masket, I think comes with like some kind of flower. That kind of looks like this, oddly enough. But it isn't that. And it's some kind of flower that you use with it too that is like a restore over time kind of potion. I used it during leagues. Didn't seem like it did much, but I guess it does something. It seemed a lot better to just use a super restore. The new butterflies that are coming with Varlamore, but I don't know. I guess it works. Anyways, aside from that, yeah, more processing stuff. Here are the roots that I have very little of because they need to fix how roots are. I have white lilies that currently do nothing. Why these do nothing, I have no clue. I'm hoarding them. There are 2 ways to get them, from white lily seeds and from Hollow Sepulcher, which is like agility training thing. And for whatever reason, these flowers are used for nothing. Not even things that normal flowers are used for, because they didn't even bother coding them for that. Like, there's a few things that any generic flower could be used for. I can't remember what it was, but there's something really pointless that they could be used for. And they didn't even bother coding this as a flower to count for it, whatever it was, unless they've done that recently. But I'm pretty sure it still doesn't even count for that. So they are literally pointless, but I believe they still have a value because people hoard them because it's like, wait, why is this thing so pointless? They're eventually going to have some purpose, right? So they actually have a value on speculation of 532, I believe. Or, well, not believe, it's literally right there. But to my understanding, they do literally nothing. Like, absolute nothing. But this is just speculation on, like, oh, what if they are worth something later and they're worth, like, 5k each or something? So I just hoard all of mine. You don't get that many, but what if they do have a purpose in the future? So hold on to them. Next, we have Stardust. This is something I really need to go thieving to go get more of. That or finally go do Gauntlet. I think I have 7 Gauntlet KC on this account. I've never done Gauntlet before, not during leagues, not during anything. This account is my total KC, and we have 7-0. Is that good? No. Have we died yet? Also no. Let's keep it that way. So I'm probably honestly going to do like several hundred normal Gauntlet just to basically indirectly learn Corrupted and then eventually go to Corrupted. Personally, I'd prefer to have the prayers before I do that. I have done like no rating on this account. Actually, that's around the time when I ended up leaving the original RuneScape. It's kind of funny. The main 2 times I've actually like quote unquote quit RuneScape is oddly enough when like new raid content ended up coming in. And I didn't really care for like what it ended up doing to the game. In the original RuneScape, it was when Dungeoneering ended up coming out, and I feel like it just overcomplicated some things. It was a really cool mechanic, I do have to say, but I don't know, it just didn't feel RuneScape, if that makes any sense. Like, it was a lot of fun, but similar to how like summoning doesn't necessarily feel like RuneScape, I don't feel like Dungeoneering did either. And that's one thing I've kind of hated about a lot of raids in Old School RuneScape is it kind of just feels like dungeoneering rehash. And particularly with Theater of Blood, because unlike the other two raids that are soloable, like I brute forced Chambers of Xeric for the first time knowing not the slightest clue what I was doing. Took like 90 minutes, but we got through. We got a kill count on it. One singular kill count. Actually, I think we can see it over here. Did I even show this? Yeah, I don't think I have. But if I go check bosses, we can see we have done one Chambers of Xeric raid, and we just brute forced it. It took like 90 minutes, though I was making a ton of potions just so I would be fine. I think I died like 3 times on it, which is a safe death there for some reason. So you can end up doing stuff like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. Because, yeah, we definitely would want to go with a team or something. But yeah, we got through it, brute forced it. It's not supposed to be soloable, or when it was originally made, it wasn't supposed to be, but it is. Same as the third one, though the third one was made a lot more soloable. And I did get to mess with that a little bit during League, and it was a lot of fun to end up messing with that thing. I still have never done it in the main game, still need to on this account. There's a weird disconnection issue with it currently, which is the main thing that's been keeping me not doing it, as I think this account still has like almost a year of membership left. And with how it works right now, if you disconnect in some areas in the game, like Volcanic Mine or Theater of Blood or Tombs of a Masket, a few areas like that, possibly even the new piece of content coming in, the Coliseum that's coming in with Varlamore today. A lot of these locations, well, we don't know about Coliseum, but every other one I just mentioned, if you disconnect there and you log back in, you will auto die currently. That is very dumb. And something I'm surprised they haven't tweaked, given that this game mode has been out for like, what, 7, 8 years, however long it's been. You will literally auto die unless you let your membership expire and then log back in afterwards, because then you'll be automatically put into a free-to-play area and you'll actually keep your hardcore status intact. Why they haven't changed that after this long, I have no clue. And it's one of the things that's kind of kept me away from all the other raids. But honestly, it'll probably take me, like, they will probably fix it by the time we get all the drops from Chambers of Xeric. So hopefully we'll be fine to then move on to other raids by that point. But anyways, eventually we can start playing the game once we get Max Cape. Then we have just other random stuff, coconut into coconut milk into making this poison stuff. It's pretty nice just for some free herb lore XP. It's a little bit slow to get it, but it's still better than not having more herb lore XP. So I'll take more herb lore XP off of not more herb lore XP. Poison's a pretty dead piece of content in Old School RuneScape, though. Ever since they added Venom, Venom is just better. I really hope they add a Poison plus 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 at some point. Currently, the highest it goes is Poison plus plus, as we can kind of see in the top left corner right over there. But it says Poison plus plus on finish, and of course the finished one's in some other tab here. But they really need to add a Poison plus 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 that starts at like an 8 tick, so that Poison actually has a usability compared to Venom. Because right now, Venom goes 6, then 8, then 10, and so on and so forth up to like 20. But Poison, the best you could do is start from 6, and then it goes down to 5, then 4, so on and so forth. But if they made Poison start at something like 8, or even go super crazy with it, and add a Poison plus 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 plus, and have Poison start at like 10 for melee and 8 for range, that would really give Poison a place instead of just running Blowpipe for everything and Venom everything and stuff like that. I'm really curious if they're ever going to consider that and actually give like all those potions a use case, as well as this material other than just herb lore XP, because they're not really worth using on anything currently. Be really interesting to see what they do with that, but currently it's just kind of pointless other than for herb lore XP. Cowhide next to unicorn horns, just to get more unicorn horns. I have a really weird mix of stuff here. Unicorn horn dust, snakeweed, and nail beast snails. This is a really annoying resource to get, but these end up making sandfew potions. I do eventually want to farm up to 1,000 plus of these, especially if we ever get to content where we really have to make sure we don't die, like Wilderness, Infernal, I guess the Coliseum that's coming out today, other stuff like that. We're obviously going to want to run sandfew potions for those. These give slightly more prayer XP at super high prayer levels, while also giving you disease immunity, poison immunity, and restores your stats, just like a super restore. So really beneficial. It's basically slightly more prayer restore than super restore, also having a ton of other effects on top of it. So it's basically just better super restore. It is way harder to get than super restores, like way harder. Oh no, I showed the gear tab. We'll get there soon. No, in all fairness, my gear tab's actually pretty wimpy right now. Where we've done some PVM, we have not done a lot. Though there is one, we do still have the next drop in here, by the way. We will get to that. But anyways, in other news, let's see, what do we have next? What do we have next? This is just for making anti-venoms. This swamp tar is going to be combined with the irit tars with the upcoming update today. So we'll be able to go process all that to use the new salamander. Then we have all the stuff that you just end up fishing and converting into even more herb lore XP. And here's just where we make all of our combination potions. We could just use it on any of these and just get that. You simply click them together and you're good to go. Don't accidentally drink it though. So we can do stuff like this and boom, we get Herblore XP very quickly for it. And yeah, it's pretty nice for that. And you just knife these down and then get a ton of those. Unfortunately, though, we're to do a weaker one. I'm hoping this row is used for something related to it. To the patch today. I'm not sure if it is, but if it is, then we're going to need a lot of row. Because you might be able to mix it with the butterflies, I'm not sure. Because they said that you're going to be able to make mixes out of them, but they never said what you need to use for it. So I assume it's going to be row. Because row currently doesn't have much of a use case, whereas caviar is used for, like, everything. So it makes sense if they would give row a purpose. And then I just have some random stuff here that I have no clue what's for. No, actually, I do know what's for. It's just not useful. Ancient brews are used for making the thing that's basically like imbued heart, but you have to do a couple quests to get there, and one of them requires wilderness, so we haven't done it yet. Because in the wilderness, you could be attacked by anyone, and we don't want to die. And we have gone there a couple times for stings here and there. And desert goat horns are dropped by a couple enemies, but I believe they're just used for making combat potions. I can't remember what herb it is, but it's not really worth doing. Combat potions aren't that useful. Super combats are, but normal combat potions, they're pretty wimpy. You'd pretty much just drop them all after you get the Herblore XP if you were to even process them. But anyways, next, our gear tab. We have all of our stuff related to barrows right at the top. Still need to go green log this place so we can get all these sets. Though with new barrows coming out today, might not even need to do that. Might just skip on it. Luckily, my favorite set actually ended up getting the first one we ever got the full set of. Full Varrock. So this thing ends up attacking twice, I believe 25% of the time when you're using Amulet of the Damned. And honestly, it's pretty good in mid-game. We didn't end up using it for our first Fire Cape, oddly enough. We still just used Rune Crossbow, because I don't even think we had this set at that time. But it is really good for clearing through a lot of the mid-game, even like slightly later than mid-game. You can even use that Zora if you really wanted to. Though, honestly, it's just too much of a switch to bother with, personally. But if you really like clicking a ton, like 6-way switches, it definitely could be done. But overall, it's with a lot of barrel pieces kind of falling off as we keep getting more and more equipment. With the new content today, a lot of these pieces, like even Arams, will probably like tank like crazy in price. I wouldn't be surprised if this says something under 3 mil. Whoa, okay. For a second, I thought one of them was 7 mil. It's like, wait. But I wouldn't be surprised if in like a couple weeks this tanks under 3 mil. Notoriously, one of the more expensive, actually, I think the most expensive Barrows piece. I thought it was 7 mil. I was going to say, that's 2 of them. But notoriously one of the more expensive Barrow pieces. But this will probably tank to under like 2 or 1 mil in the near future. Because the new set that's coming out, I think, is just definitively better than it. And we don't really know how common it's going to be or anything. But why farm Barrows when you just farm the better stuff? So unfortunately, a lot of Barrow pieces aren't going to see a lot of love. If anything else, that means Derek's is probably going to skyrocket. This would matter if we still could use anything with the Grand Exchange, because I actually have no account really right now that can use the Grand Exchange, since we've just been playing on an Ironman the entire time. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Derek pieces skyrocket, because Torags, other than maybe that double hammer that might be useful during this mode, kind of useless, has a bit of defense, but overall probably still useless. Like when you use it with Amulet of Damned, it gains a ton of defense. Like Gothane just has a little bit of heal, not really that useful. Varrock just has a little bit of extra prayer, not really that useful. Aram's literally getting replaced with a better set today. Like all these just get outdone by other stuff. So the only one that's really going to see a lot of usage because of PvP and stuff like that is going to be Derek. So I wouldn't be surprised if after this update, Derek's basically becomes the new Arams, where every single one of the pieces are just going to skyrocket in price because every other one just going to get a definitively better version. Like some of these will still hold values, like Carol's leather top, rope skirts, things like these. These are always going to have some amount of value just because they fit a nice, really good mid-game niche. But they are probably going to tank. Speaking of tank, we got a tank, more so a cannon. Obviously, we have a cannon, but we have the 2 cannonballs. I'm saving all the granite ones for wilderness. For whenever we do anything in the Wilderness Slayer. Most notably, probably getting the Champion Scroll from Earth Warriors, just so we don't have to spend as long in that. I think it's like 1 in 5,000 chance. If we go there with like 10, 20,000 cannonballs, we should be fine. But I don't use cannonballs too often. Generally on Ironman, you don't use them that often. But, you know, if you're ever feeling lazy or want to like AFK a little bit harder, you can just set it down and just let your cannon go to work. And it just does everything for you. Just keep auto retaliate on. Of course, you'll need to keep your prayer up while doing that. You can restore your prayer fully twice per day. The Ancient Mace for a little bit of overheal. I think, we are overheal. Well, obviously, our prayer level is 90. Is at 124 right now. Oh yeah, that's something we did do recently. We did finally get base 90s. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier. Obviously, we're pushing to all 99s. Very slowly, but we're getting there. No, I don't know. Actually, those stats after a year, I don't think is too bad. But I don't know. It's mostly through AFK methods, and we've kind of ran out of AFK methods. Like the amount of levels I've gained recently is so absurdly low. Not even just because we're getting higher level, but because we kind of depleted every single thing that you could effectively AFK on an Ironman for the most part, with a few exceptions here and there. Like range could easily be AFK to 99. I just kind of been letting it get up naturally. But I don't know, I kind of depleted every AFK method at this point, other than for collection log stuff. But anyways, then we have ourselves Zealot Rope Tops. These are really good for prayer. Oops, what on earth do I have X on right now? But there we go. These are really good for prayer. They are going to be outdone a little bit by this new set that's coming out today. It's in Voldemort, or Varlamore, I should say. Barely say that. Varlamore. Varlamore. But anyways, with Varlamore, that's going to end up kind of getting replaced out. It kind of already is slightly worse than Proselyte. The top is one worse, but the bottom is equal to it. But it has a much lower weight and doesn't have any negative magic, which is pretty useful on some tasks like jellies and stuff like that, where your magic accuracy still matters, but you also still need a ton of prayer. I also have some special effects when doing bones and burying them, using them on altars, doing the Ectofunctus, and Assault Heads has a chance of saving them as well. So the set gets a bit of usage, just gives you a little bit more prayer overall, both in the restoration and in EXP. Then we have just the standard tools, Holy Wrench, so you get more prayer from anything you do. Mostly just, and by that I mean like prayer pots and stuff like that. And then just all the things that get you more prayer XP. Bone Crusher for bones, Ash Sanctifier for ashes, and what on earth is that word? Ectoplasmator for ghosts, so you get a bit of XP that way. Then we just have a bunch of random equipment, like our bursting equipment here, to go with our prayer equipment. And then, of course, normally during bursting, you want to make your task either quicker or longer, generally longer if you're doing one that's good. Or if you're just trying to kill something out quickly, like Ankus or something, you use the Expeditious to get it done quicker. And we have a little bit of range setup, obviously full void and all the pieces of void. All kitted out in that thing that you get from leagues as well. Though I'm still using the magic short bow with it. Our range weapons, this is why we don't have 99 range. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was like, we need like a slightly better crossbow in mid-game or something. I guess Dragon Crossbow is supposed to be like that, but it's such a rare drop. But my current best range equipment in mid-game right now is a Rune Crossbow and a Magic Shortbow Eye. You can get these within like your first week of playing. And we would have if we didn't get so unlucky on Rune Crossbow. I think it took us like 130 Steel Dragons or something, and I still didn't get it. And then I moved on to Derange Archaeologist, and then we got in like 30 or 40 or something. But yeah, this is so bad for range right now. Our range equipment is so outdated, especially compared to some of our other categories. It's being slightly updated with Voldemort today. We're getting a new kind of quick attacking mid-game crossbow. It won't be able to fire the same stuff that normal crossbow does. It's going to use a special Hunter Bolt, but it might actually be more DPS in some situations than Rune Crossbow. I'm not sure what the exact math comes out to, especially depending on like what gear you have, if you're running it with Void or like Missouri and like Best in Slot, what it exactly comes out to. But I believe in some situations, like if you're using Rune Crossbow with, let's say, Broad Bolts, I think it out damages that in some situations, if not most, I think. Of course, it's coming out today, so we don't really know for sure. Plus, they've tweaked it a couple times, so I never really know what final value they're really going with it. So it's like in our hands in game. So I don't know. We'll have to see, because maybe we are actually getting the update for that slightly today. Maybe we'll finally be able to replace that out for the new Hunter Bow a little bit, at least in some situations, because it attacks way quicker than Rune Crossbow. So it has that going for it. But anyways, I think it even has a higher attack range. But anyways, then we just have a couple amulets for various stuff, the range ones, the ones for undead, standard ones, the Fury, all the ones that basically look the same. The Fury for defense, the Torture for damage, and the Blood Fury for not dying. This is the super you don't want to die moment. Like if you're doing like General Gerard, or I've actually been doing 2-1 melee on it, instead of doing any of the safer methods, or quote-unquote safer. The ones where you can do like 6-0, 8-0, other stuff like that. Any amount into 0 where you never get hit. But if you misclick, you then get hit very absurdly hard. So I don't want to chance that. So I just do 2-1. And you take a lot of damage from it. But Blood Fury can also heal you a lot. So kind of evens out. Aside from that, Defender, other basic stuff. Rings, headgear, the good old whips. And our current best weapon for melee is technically Tentacle Whip, I guess. There are some situations for Crush where Zombie Axe is actually better. Actually, oddly enough, I don't even use either of these two anymore at Nex. It is better just to do Zombie Axe, because the final two forms that you have to kill in the corners, one of them is weak to Slash, which is really good at Slash. And then the second one you need to go kill, it is very weak to Crush. So you can end up just doing your Crush bonus and end up killing it out that way. So it ends up getting a lot of value, because you just can go with one weapon. And then you just use your spec weapon as Crystal Halberd or wherever it is in all this mess. I just realized, where on earth is my Crystal Halberd? Hello, Crystal Halberd? Do I not have it here? Wait, where's my Crystal Halberd? Wait. Do I have it in the wrong section? No, it's here. Where is my crystal halberd? Am I not blind right now? There it is. There's my spec weapon 4. Why are you all the way over there? Honestly, I reorganized this, and I need to go reorganize my reorganize because I have no clue where anything is, apparently. I had all my weapons at the top earlier, and then it's like, oh, let me go organize a little. And then I think I honestly almost made it more unorganized. That is how things are. And then we just have some throwable stuff, just other knickknack stuff that are really niche. I like the ham joint, which gets used occasionally and stuff like that. This will need to get a ton more if we ever do anything in the wilderness. Holy water is actually a really fun one. I kind of want to do a whole video on holy water. I feel like this is one of the most underrated items that I think no one knows exists in this game. This isn't a super attack thing. This is an actual wieldable item that can actually be thrown and does damage to some things. It has a very niche purpose, and I feel like almost no one uses it. It's actually not even mentioned on the wiki. I was checking the wiki earlier when I was messing with it a little bit, and some of the features that it has isn't even mentioned on the wiki. And some of the features that it has wasn't even found out until like the last couple years too. And some of it's also just not even mentioned on the wiki. It's kind of insane. Because this item has existed since before RuneScape 2. Like, we're talking RuneScape Classic. We're talking like 2002 kind of times. Maybe 2001. We're talking like ancient history kind of times. This thing has been out for forever, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know it exists. It's a really fun, weird weapon. I think the main reason a lot of people don't use it, though, even though it has its niche situations, it's just really annoying to make. It's not that bad. I think you can make a couple thousand an hour. Definitely at least 1,000. It's just such a process, and obviously you can make like iron darts and stuff like that just so much quicker if you need something to tap stuff with. But anyways, next we have all of our runes and teleport stuff. Nothing really too special here to really mention. Obviously we have a ton of blood runes here, but that's more so just as you're getting to 99 rune crafting. That tends to happen, especially if you're focusing more on AFK methods. But even just through the other methods like ZMI Altar and the Guardians of the Rift, you still prioritize bloods through Guardians of the Rift because you get like a supercharge thing. Off of like death and blood and fire and a few others. I forget what the whole list is. I know those 3 do. I think there's like a 4th, or there's the only 3. It might be those. But like you get more points for it, so you generally want to prioritize doing them compared to some of the other ones that are available during the minigame. So you still tend to get a lot of bloods even when you're trying not to make bloods. But I actually have 2 holes here. One of these are for Wrath runes, which we have in the Dragon Slayer 2, so that goes there. I'm waiting until max keep on that. And ideally a better crossbow, but honestly I might just rune crossbow it. It's not that big a deal. We're way over geared already for it. But I still want to play it really safe. And then we have the new one that's coming out today. The Blister... I almost said Blister Wood. That's a wrong piece of content. That's for the flail. But it's some kind of new fire rune that has like a minimum hit or something. It's going to be from the new Coliseum. And while I'm probably not doing that anytime soon, I have the placeholder for when we do. Honestly, we'll probably have that before we have Wrath runes at this rate. Then we have all the elemental staves, and by that I mean half the elemental staves, because I haven't got the dust one. This one's from Slayer or Dust Devils, which I guess is both Slayer. You get it from Superiors or from Dust Devils. Then we have Steam runes. You get this from the Zami boss. I've literally killed it only once to get to Nex, and I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. Maybe at some point, but I don't know. It's just a really weird boss. I don't think I would do it until I have the claw thing from Hydra, which I'm kind of worried to go do. It seems like it hits kind of hard, but it also seems like you could 0 damage it, but I've never done it, so we will probably die on it. But if I can get the claw from there, we'll go do Zami and then get everything else. But until then, I'm not going there. And then we'll get the Steam Staff and everything. It's actually pretty useful for quite a few of the lunar magics. Then you have Mud Rune, pretty much only used in Mage Training Arena, which is currently being pulled to be buffed like crazy. And I'm pretty sure everything's going to pass, so I should probably go get a Mud Staff so we can go do that one rune better. You get that from doing the Dagannoth Kings. I actually don't have either of the 2 uniques from the Dagannoth King. Oh gosh, what's he called? Prime, I think his name is. Whatever one the Major is called. Let's see, you have Rex, Prime, and... what's the one superior one called? Oh gosh, why can't I remember his name? Why don't I remember what any of the things are called? I'm pretty sure his name is Prime, though. Oh, Supreme was the other one. Yeah, I think Prime is the Major. And I actually don't have either of the 2 drops. I have every drop from them, other than the pets. But the 2 I'm missing are both from the same guy, unfortunately. And one of them's that Mud Staff. Then we just have our scroll book with all of our scrolls in it. I don't think we have anything too special here as far as numbers. I haven't done too many clues. I guess we've done like 1,000 something, but compared to some people, that's basically 0. So, oh no, we still have pretty low. For whatever reason, we have the most Lumberyard teleports. And this is weird because I've used like 50 of them, which means I've gotten over 150 of these things. I've gotten like double over the next pass. Actually, I got really good luck with these. I would honestly say the 2 most useful. There are 3 that I would say are the most useful, at least for us, on an Ironman account. They're the Lumberyard teleport, the Morton teleport, and Norda. Morton is used for some clue steps as well as just getting elite clues. You can end up doing it through the minigame pretty quickly. Oh, sorry, not Norda. I meant to say Tabawana. Why did I say Norda? And Tabawana is the one I got the least, like the most useful one. But yeah, Lumberyard is for making planks a little bit quicker. You can do it through some other means, but I don't like doing it PvP worlds where you can do it a little bit quicker. There's like a whole method with it, but it's just too risky. If I ever go to a PvP world, I will immediately forget I'm in one and then immediately die. So I just use the Lumberyard teleports for it. Morton for clue steps and Prairie XP and doing the minigame there. And Tabawana is good for a lot of clue steps, but for whatever reason, I think I've used 1 or 2 total, which means I've only gotten like 20 of them. I have no clue why it's our lowest one. Obviously, these are a bit lower, but these are from like other means. Everything here leftwards are all the ones you actually get from clue scrolls. So yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. Anyways, then we just have a bunch of just like generic teleports just for all the things that we would eventually end up needing. We got the Slayer Returner Ring too, which is kind of cool. Can infinitely end up teleporting with Slayer Master, stuff like that. Generally, don't really need this because the 2 main Slayer Masters I use are Duradel and the one on Mount Karen, or not Mount Karen, whatever the other mountain is called. The Karoom, I believe it's called. But the other one is the main 2 I end up using. That or using Duradel, or gosh, not Duradel, what's his name? Toriel, to end up skipping. So I don't actually really use this much for that. I mostly just use it to get the Slayer Tower and for clue steps. It's a good clue item. And there's a bunch of other teleports here and there, nothing really too special downwards. Burning Amulet, I'm not sure why it's even here. I only, like, if I ever make a Burning Amulet and use it, I'm never keeping it in the bank. I don't want to accidentally teleport with it. So I have no clue why I even have the placeholder. I could actually just release it. And this is just other generic teleports. A lot of these can be replaced out once we have max keep as well. But this is where all of our teleports end up going. Next, we have all the clue stuff. Just makes it a lot easier to end up gearing up. We can end up going, just click one of each of these. Boom, boom, boom. Grab whatever we need. And then just simply go put it all on. And then we're just all geared up and ready to go. And whenever we want to do something like that. A couple different ways that you can end up doing it setup-wise, but I don't know, I kind of like doing it with this setup a lot of times. It's a little bit slower for killing some things, but I don't know, it's the setup I like. I have like having the fire shield already on for some of the tasks that end up requiring it, but definitely not that required to end up doing so. Oh yeah, we got Stale Baguette, by the way. I still can't believe we got this. There's some people that have been playing this for forever. I did get it pretty recently, though, but it was slightly before the 1-year mark. But yeah, we did end up getting this after, well, actually, we can see about how many random events we have. If we go check right over here, I've gotten on average, assuming they're weighted evenly, about 46 of every event, which means we got it within 46 random clue boxes, or whatever that one game show is, and then 46 random sandwich ladies, assuming they're all weighted evenly, which I believe they are. So I keep these, just kind of keep track of it. Which I think it might even be 48 events. I'm not sure why it says 46. Maybe I just didn't bank the other 2, or they got misplaced somehow. Maybe I dropped them because I didn't have enough inventory to keep them. But yeah, I think we've actually had 48, not 46. But anyways, next. But yeah, this is all our clue stuff. Just whenever we do a beginner clue, boom, we just grab all the items we need for beginner clues. There's technically some other ones like Iron Ore, Iron Dagger, but Iron Dagger you just grab from the place. Iron Ore, you just take it from your bank somewhere else. You could always just grab it, not need it. But it's just a lot quicker to have some of them in your inventory if you know you're going to do a beginner clue or a few of them. And I have the same thing for masters. We have everything that we need for masters over here. The 2 that we're missing being the Armadillo helmet from the Armadillo boss, which generally isn't worth doing until after maxing pretty much, once we have better range gear, which is really lacking at the moment. And then the other one is Lava Dragon Bones, which we can get in like 2 minutes if we want to right now. And we're definitely not going to because we will die. Even though right now, at the time that we were recording this, there's probably 0 people there, and we can literally go completely naked right now in this exact outfit and probably still kill it. However, yeah, our luck, there will be a whole team of 20 people right now for some reason there. So yeah, we're not going to do that. Aside from that, there's some other things that are used for some other clue steps here. Like one of them, I think, is to go make a pyre thing at Morton. One of them, you have to go kill one of them, so you need a key to get in. One of them is to go like make a light orb thing and animate its old head. This is for some master clue. I don't have the other part of it, so I can't put it in the casket. And even if I did, I'd probably still keep it there because I would actually use the Biophyta staff to High Alk. If we ever get Tome of Fire, I don't have either of them. Because you use Tome of Fire plus Biophyta staff to save some nature runes. However, the problem with that is I have neither. So that doesn't help us much, does it? Anyways, next we have random tool section. This has all the basic tools that you would ever need, some stuff for quick things. Like, honestly, this video has been going so long, we can go do a birdhouse run if we really wanted to. I was not expecting this video to take so long. Do I talk that much when I ramble about things? because I think this video is going to almost be an hour and a half long. This was supposed to be like a quick, hey, here's the bank summary video. And here we are. I don't know. I just like really talking about things when we get into them. And the funny thing is we're halfway through, though the rest of these tabs are going to be pretty quick. There's not really much to mention here. Just a bunch of tools, a bunch of graceful, some other outfits. Eternal Ring will eventually go there. Not Eternal Ring, Ring of Endurance, I mean. Some of the new Hunter stuff might end up going here too. Like there's new weight reduction stuff. So you can end up wearing that without getting rid of like your forestry boost or stuff like that. Because you can't wear graceful with it, otherwise the boosts collide with each other and you only get one or the other. Whereas if you wear weight reducing armor, which currently doesn't exist but should as a Varlamore with the new camouflage outfits, well technically already existing ones, but they're going to gain a weight reduction on them. Probably put them over here because they'll be really good when you're doing forestry and other stuff, just to make sure your weight stays down, as well as just doing birdhouse runs and other miscellaneous stuff. Anyways, a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff. Speaking of which, all this for making those potions that we saw earlier, if we ever want to go make them. It's actually pretty straightforward. All you really have to do, let's see, I got to move this to X2. It's pretty easy. Let's see, all you have to do is move this, boom, 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 boom. Oh, not that many. Boom, boom. Let's see, wait. Boom, boom. There we go. And then we could just end up doing this, get all our things in there. Not using to make it. Honestly, I do kind of want to go process a ton of these, though. I kind of want them to make like a better way of doing it eventually. But honestly, this is so dead content that I'm pretty sure they never will. But that doesn't mean they might not eventually buff it. Who knows? They might eventually. Because it ended up having like Darklight. Darklight ended up getting Arclight. So why can't these potions get a better version at some point? Who knows? But anyways. But that's just the processing of those. I'm not sure why I even have them here. It's just a miscellaneous tool section. I have like our storage things, other stuff for other random things. This could probably be more in the processing area. Just a bunch of junk tools and just other tools that you would use for things. It's a very mixed matched area of I have no clue what. That definitely could use some better organization in the future. Next, we have the Need to Process Later tab. And you may have heard me mention earlier during this video, about an hour ago, we did get a unique loot from Nex. And any of you who are wondering that, who didn't already see it from one of the other streams we did earlier, we ended up getting Torva Fullhelm. This is best in slot melee Fullhelm. We can see how much it's worth by seeing the value. It is actually our most expensive tab out of any of these, because this is about, what was it, 210, 220 mil. This is 118, or 181. This is 109. This is 241, which would be our, what, second highest? Then we have like nothing. And then we have this one, which is 333 mil. And yeah, if we take this out, it is a good majority of the value here. Actually, how much is Torva Fullhelm right now damaged? 261. So we actually do have a way to make it undamaged. We have bandaged chest plate. However, where we currently are within the current state of the game, for both Chambers of Xeric, if we ever start it and stuff like that, it is actually better for us to keep bandaged chest plate for Slayer, for Chambers of Xeric, stuff like that, than it would be to have Torva Fullhelm. If I ever get a second piece of Torva of any kind, well, other than a repeat, then it'll be worthwhile if we get the body, ideally, or legs. We will be in a very good position, especially, actually, either of them would be fine, honestly. Just give me not Fullhelm. I will take literally any unique there. Just do not give me my double dupe immediately, because that would be so bad. Oh, speaking of luck, though, Bandos Hilt. So why am I saying luck with Bandos Hilt? Well, I got this in, well, you'll see. We got this in 12 KC. I know this is 17. I got this at 6. I got this at 12. Which means I should go back to Bandos and do one more kill, because I'm guaranteed a Tacits or Pet, I think. But, yeah, 6, 12, and hopefully 18 we pick up Tacits or repeat Bandos so I can go break that down. Or Bandos Boots, because they actually added a new upgrade to that today. Guardian Boots existed since, like, what, 2017? But now they added, oh gosh, what's it called? They ended up adding a crystal that you can slot into it as of today with Varlamore. And while the update isn't quite out yet, it's about to be. And while we're probably not going to have it for a while, it would be nice to have. Might be one of the few situations where getting Bandos Boot might actually be more beneficial than Tacits. Though I still have to go get the other piece over Grotesque Guardians. There's actually one other one that we've gotten absurdly lucky on as well. If I can go find it here. Also, please give me more of these. I don't want to go back there. Please. Give me like 5 more of these tenches. I turned it in immediately for pearls because I couldn't stand being there for another second. Oh yeah, here's another one that we got lucky on. These are the only 2 that we got absurdly lucky on. Oh, that and Dragon Warhammer. I can't show that from this bank, but I think we got Dragon Warhammer in like 400 kills or something. It's 1 in 5,000. This is 1 in 300 for 1. Which means we're not even at the drop rate for 1. We got all 4. Which I'm actually kind of sad, because I actually really enjoyed Demonic Gorillas. They're kind of like the old thing from While Gothic Sleeps, which is a thing that they're adding later this year, that quest to Oldschool Runescape. But they're going to be replacing the enemy and giving it new loot and everything like that. But I don't know, it's a really fun enemy to end up facing. And I guess I could try for Heavy Ballista. But do I care about Heavy Ballista? No. So honestly, I'm fine never killing another one of those again, I guess, unless we're really pressed on collection log items. I guess that is something I do want to focus on at some point. I haven't really been focusing on it too hard. But I do kind of want to focus on the collection log and kind of work on it a little bit. I think we're actually in top 30, oddly enough, for Hardcore Ironman, or top 35. It's like an opt-in system. There isn't one in-game that keeps track of it. However, like from Jagex themselves. However, there is like a third-party resource that you can opt into. And I think on the list we're like 30 to 35, which is kind of insane because I haven't even been trying to fill out this log. And we haven't even done some of the super easy ones. Like I have 0 for like some of the super free ones. Like for example, Castle Wars. You can literally AFK, I think it's like 100 hours, you get everything here or something like that. And that's 39 slots for pretty much free. And I say 100 hours for all of that, but you only have to spend like 10, 20 hours there of fully AFK pretty much to end up getting like 30 of these. So yeah, it's pretty easy overall. And just a lot of ones like that I just haven't bothered going for yet because I haven't really gone like the full collection log kind of route yet. There's a few that we've gotten, but like slightly out of our way for it. It's like, you know, might as well. Or if we're already doing something, it's like, I need to train fishing. Might as well train it while getting collection log. Might be slightly more inefficient, but, you know, if we get something out of it, might as well. Aside from that, just other junk we haven't processed. Other junk. Might actually color this into our Slayer helm would be cool. Extra Fury thing to put it in. 4 of these are just for, nothing in particular. I guess just recharging the Abyssal Whip. 4 of these is relevant, though. Because with the new Desert Treasure 2, you actually need 4 of these. I believe you break them down, and they become 4 new scepters that you can end up doing and getting a new gem from each of the 4 bosses. It's, the ice one is probably the most useful one. The only problem is you have to kill Duke for that, Duke Succulus. And Duke Succulus, I believe his max is, what, 110? I'm not sure if they tweaked it. I'm pretty sure it was 110 last I checked. It might be a little bit lower than that, but his ice move can hit really hard, which means you always have to be anglered. That's something we're definitely going to need thousands of anglers for, but I really want to get that because it gives you, I believe, a higher chance of landing freeze. And while Staff of the Dead will generally still be better in the wilderness, if your just only goal is to freeze the enemy and not really necessarily do damage or anything else, I believe it does win out compared to almost any other staff, if not every other staff in the game. So stuff like that will be pretty good for. The Blood one gets used occasionally too for some things, most notably probably for oh gosh, what's it called? Inferno. Who knows? Maybe even for the new Coliseum that's coming out today. It gives you a lot of heal. I believe it even overheals you some. Has even higher accuracy when using blood spells. So, you know, when you're needing that to heal, could end up being pretty useful. Could even be your only mage weapon when you're doing an Inferno run too. So probably will be, honestly, if we go do it. Will probably be something like that. We do have Master Wand. I'm not sure if I showed it in the other tab. We definitely did, though. I don't think I made much mention of it. We do have Master Wand, but Master Wand doesn't have any like extra magic damage on it, which is problematic. Whereas this staff, when broken down and combined with the thing from Desert Treasure 2, or I think actually has 3 components. It's this, then the second component is from Phantom Musfa, and then the third component is from Desert Treasure 2. So they're like all over the place. But once you get them all together, I think it does have like a 5% magic bonus or something, which is better than none. Tentacle Kraken Tentacles for whenever we get 10 for Trident, for Toxic Staff of the, Toxic Staff of the Swamp, to make it so it can hold more charges. I think 20,000 instead of 2,500. Eventually, I have 2. I think we're at the drop rate for 1, so that's pretty nice. We still need 1 billion. And I generally don't like doing that boss too much. It's really AFK. And given that we like doing a lot of AFK things, you would think I would like that boss a lot. But the problem with it is on hardcore, if you AFK too hard, you will die. It can hit really hard out of nowhere, and if it does that back-to-back, you just die. So you have to be really paranoid while doing it. Compared to if you're doing on a main, you can literally just super ultra mega AFK and be good to go. I guess we kind of could if we had a better healing method, like if we had Sang Staff or something, but that's no time soon, that's for sure. Anyways, just a bunch of other junk that needs to be processed, a bunch of high alch stuff for whenever we need more money. Most has already been high alch, just a lot of the other ones here I just don't do anything with. Anyways, next we have kind of just our cosmetic stuff that doesn't really have much of a purpose, or just being kind of collected up for maybe in the future. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are holding out on maybe being able to make these into soaked pages or burned pages. Currently, they don't do anything once you already have the sets. I'm still missing Armadillo, by the way. It might look like we're missing 3 sets, but I've already made these books. The only book I have not been able to make, and I have no clue how, if we go to collection log over here, the only one we have not been able to finish is under clues, underneath, where is this, shared? It's literally the only thing. Look at this. This is everything we've gotten in like the full lifetime. Oh yeah, we can see how many lumber yards we got. How many was it? Oh, I thought I used more than that. Really? Only 100. I could have sworn I used a lot more. Oh, maybe it was during leagues. I was thinking I used a lot more of them. Wait, how many top Awanas have I used then? Yeah, I was right. I used literally 2. I said earlier I used 2, and we did use 2. Though, I guess I was thinking of leagues when I was thinking of how many lumber yards we ended up doing. That's kind of funny, because there wasn't PvP worlds in leagues, obviously. So you basically had to use the lumberyard teleport or Ring of Elements or something similar. Well, I guess you could still do it through your house, but you need like a couple regions to do it, whereas that everyone had access to. Well, maybe not the Ring of Elements, but everyone had access to the lumberyard teleport to go do it, so that's one way to kind of do planks if you needed some quickly. But anyways, yeah, it's the only thing we don't have in this collection after like 700 clues. I know this is higher, but a lot of those are beginners, obviously. Though still have not gotten boots. Oh yeah, that's something I didn't show earlier. Our boot luck. If we go to our unprocessed tabs, I didn't make mention of this when we were here, but I have 2 Pegasian crystals, which of course make the best in slot range boots. But to do that, you need the harder to get ranger boots. My luck on leagues and just on this account for boots has been absurdly bad. I am currently, it took me, I believe, 15 pairs of boots to get ranger boots in leagues. And currently on mole slippers, the most expensive thing in beginner clues, I am currently, what is this, 14? 14, 18. I am 18 boots in with no mole slippers and only one of the parrot that I absolutely love. I think I'm wearing it right now too. Yeah, the little shoulder parrot. Love this little guy. I only have one of them. I wanted to go put a spare in my house or something similar, and we were able to get it. Actually, we got it on stream a little while back. And it was one of the main things I wanted from beginner. And then I kind of slowed down on them because we got the main thing we wanted. But yeah, it's insane how bad our shoe luck is, especially for the most expensive one. And then medium clues, we have none of them. We are 250 medium clues in, basically, with not a single pair of boots. There are 1 in 1,100 something, if I'm not mistaken, which might seem like, wait, so why are we dry on them right now? But that's for each of the pairs of boots. So that's 5 1 in like 1,100s, let's say. However, that's not it. It's not just 5 1 in 1,100s. You get on average, I believe, what, 3 rolls? Or is it 4 rolls? Let's see. Beginner should be 1 or 2. Yeah, I think it's 3 rolls. It's either 3 or 4. I think it's 3. Let's say 3. So you're getting 3 rolls per medium clue that are all of a 1,100 for 5 different things. I believe by this point we are 4 times, or maybe it's 3 times. It's somewhere around there. It's like 3 to 4 times over drop rate for any single pair of boots. To just simply have a pair of boots is how far we are over drop rate for this. It is so unfortunate. And even when we get a pair of boots, there's only 2 that really matters. Holy Sandal, which I don't have the component for to make it better, and Ranger Boots, which we have 2 of the component for, and we'll never get Ranger Boots to go with it. But yeah, maybe one day we will finally get some shoes and be disappointed when it's like Climbing Boots G or something. But anyways, to the bank. So everything there. But yeah, this is just miscellaneous stuff that we do for decorating. Oh yeah, here's all of our pets, by the way. We currently have 4 pets in order that we got them in. First, we got our parrot pet, my favorite one. Not actually a pet. Then we got our kitty that we did for all of our questing. Then it got overgrown and retired because we did every quest that requires a cat. Actually, that's not true. Do you need a cat during Dragon Slayer 2? I don't think you do. You talk to cats, but I don't think you need a cat. But yeah, he's now retired and overgrown. I have never, in my history of playing RuneScape, I have never converted a cat into death runes. It's like a mechanic that after you do like Artie, you can get like 200 death runes before you get like 100, but you get double. It's really easy to end up doing. And you can basically every 3 hours get a free 200 death runes. I can never go and kill any of my cats for death runes. So I have never done it in the history of playing Oldschool RuneScape. Over 20 years, I have never traded them in for death runes. So yeah, he's just retired. He's overgrown and he served his purpose for every quest. And now he just sits in our bank doing nothing and just kind of chills with our rock that has also served his purpose. Unless we need to go to Dagannoth Kings. But we should be adding a shortcut that should hopefully skip that, hopefully. Because it's so annoying having to bring rock and throwing X every single time. There's no way to bypass it. Aside from that, we have our other pets. 4 of which are actually pets. The other one just Monkey for doing 4,000 laps or whatever it is, 2,000. I actually did that while I was on vacation seeing family, oddly enough. It's really easy just to spam click on mobile. So pretty chill just to get that done there. Plus, it's pretty good mid-game agility XP when you're at like that middle, like 70 to 80 range. I think you stopped failing at 75, so I think I did it from like 75 to like 80 something, whatever it was, because it's really good at around that exact range where you stop failing at it, which I forgot the exact level range. I think it's somewhere around there. Maybe I'm thinking of the agility pyramid though, which I did a little bit for gold early on, but Yeah, you do it around that time and stop failing. Because you fail a lot early on in the game, but later in the game, it's just a really nice course. It's pretty chill just to get the pet or the thing that can go on your shoulder. It's not a pet in the traditional sense, but you can wear them on your shoulder like your little thing. And he has a bunch of transmogs too. There's a lot of different ones you can end up doing. Though, of course, we just use the highest one because why not? Anyways, back to Parrot. All right, and then our actual pets. Rocky, which I have gotten on every account I have ever made on Oldschool Runescape before hit 99. I have no clue how. SCOTUS, which is our only boss pet, but it technically doesn't count as a pet, so it is a pet, but it's not a pet. It's one of those pets that are so common that it's basically non-existent. Rift Guardian, which for some reason on every account I have ever done in Oldschool Runescape has also gotten before 99, which isn't that many. I've only done a few. Most of them were done several years back. This is the only one I've done since we came back. And then Chompy Bird, which is also a pretty free pet, but it's a bird, so I like it. And we're going to be grinding Varlamore like crazy to get more bird, because I really want that one that you get from Hunter. So we're going to go crazy with it. Excuse me. We're going to go crazy with that. And then we have the final tab, which is basically just a junk tab, but I can't really get rid of it. Like, it's just too annoying to go get another dragon chain if we ever need it for something, like to make dragon plate body and stuff like that. It's just things I don't really want to part with, but really should. Like, Hill Giant Club we're never going to use, but you know how annoying it's going to be to get another Hill Giant Club if it ever has a purpose for something? Just full granite, which this helm, I went like 4 times over drop rate for. Actually, I think I went 5.5 times over drop rate. I did like 60 high gambles at Barbarian Assault. Didn't get it. It's 1 in 32. Then I killed like 700 something of the beast things, the terror dogs, to try to do it. And luckily I have the Eternal Slayer ring. Otherwise, that would have been so bad. I'm not sure why. It just did not want to drop it. I wanted to go finish full granite. It just did not want to drop at all. I'm not sure what was up with it. But anyways, guys, that is the bank. This video took a lot longer than I thought it would, but I kind of just wanted to have this as a reference so I could be point at it if anyone ever wants to wonder, especially once we start covering some more videos and guides on the game once again, as we haven't really in like 6-7 years now. So if we ever need to like point at a video and be like, hey, here's all of our progress so far, and just point at it being like, hey, here you go. This is where we're at right now, if you were wondering. And that's kind of just the rundown on that. But anyways, guys, if you are still here, please leave a comment. I am really curious if anyone has watched this entire way, especially people who normally watch our channel, or even people who don't. I'm curious in both ways. If you're new here, welcome. We are going to cover some Oldschool Runescape content. We have in the past. Haven't really much recently. And most of what we covered in the past was like defense pure stuff. But I do want to cover some more skilling stuff. We've done a lot of skilling in the past. And a lot of really niche stuff that a lot of people just haven't really covered. Like I'm pretty sure almost no one knows about like some of the holy water things, and there's just a few other mechanics that are just really, really underutilized. I don't know. I love messing with quirky mechanics in this game. It's such an old game with a lot of history, and there's just such a lot of weird mechanics that are either overlooked because it's not necessarily like the most efficient things, or overlooked in the sense where it can be used, but like the people who are playing like really efficiently never really share the info because it's just not needed. But people who might be playing at like a little bit more of a casual level, the info might be like really useful for. Like there's a lot of really interesting Red X stuff you can do. And while that's really popular at things like General Grardor and stuff like that, there's a lot of bosses where it's really not that popular at, even though it's, you know, it can really help early game, mid game players, especially for saving resources, which is really good on Ironman accounts and stuff like that. There's just like a lot of really niche mechanics and weird things you can do that might not necessarily be the most efficient thing in the game, but it might be more engaging, might be more fun, kind of just to switch things up from just the same, like, just strict, overly meta everything that this game has kind of developed into over time. There's one thing that has kind of slightly been lost from Oldschool Runescape. While it still has like the overall feel, efficiency has gotten way higher. And while efficiency is fun, I do feel like it has slightly overtaken the game. Like everything has to just be like perfectly efficient, but there's like so many fun strategies that just aren't optimal, but you know, they're still just fun to mess around with and can maybe be more engaging over time. But anyways, I'll wrap it up for now. Feel free to leave a like on the video. Please comment if you've actually watched this far. I'm really curious. The 5 of you that are still here, no. I have no clue. We haven't covered an Oldschool Runescape video in a while. We have Oldschool Runescape videos with as low as like a few hundred views, and some with like over like 100,000. So where will it fall? Who knows? Probably not that many, but it is greatly appreciated that you are here. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your forever. And I will see you guys in Varlamore. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.